Hello everyone and welcome to a new IBM RPG sample video. Today's video is designed primarily for beginners. There's a fundamental concept in RPG development on IBM: file declarations in our programs. Whether you're working with physical or logical files, printer files or screen files, understanding how to declare them gives us complete control over data access and program logic. Let's go. As I'm going to talk about RPG code, let me open VSCode and Code4i to show you the examples that I'm going to work with. Okay, let me open. This one. Well, of course, I'm going to talk only about RPG full-free format because in the old style the file declarations were different. Also, I'm going to show you examples of global definitions, not for procedure definitions. These are the same, but reading or writing information to those files is quite different. Well, in RPG we use the DCL-F keyword to declare a file, no matter which type it is. So if we have a file named customers in my IBM, I can declare it just doing this. As I'm going to declare it globally, I'm going to put here my declaration, the name of my file, customers in this case, and this is the usage that I'm going to use with the file. So this tells the compiler that customers is an input file and we will be reading from it. Well, let's take a deeper look at the usage keyword. This tells RPG how your program intends to use the file. The possible options to use here are input, that allows you to read records. You can use output, that allows you to write a new record to a file. Update, that allows to read and modify existing records. Okay, it is important to know that update includes input, but I recommend to write all the different options that you're gonna use because that makes the code more readable. Also we have delete, that allows you to remove a record from the file, and finally we have all. That includes all the earlier options at the same time. As I said before, there are options that includes other options, but I prefer to write the options that I'm gonna need. Okay? Well, as you know, when a program starts, the files are opened automatically in RPG when they are declared globally. But there's a way for making it manual. For that, we must use the USROPN option. Okay, we can do something like this. This way, the file is not going to be open until you do it manually in the code using open. But why would I need to open a file manually if RPG opens it by itself? Well, this is ideal when you need to open a specific member dynamically, or you want to apply conditions to opening and closing, etc. Okay, so for example, we can do something like this here, customers, and after making our different options, we can we can close the file this way. Okay, well, more options. Well, there are three options that are very important that we can use when declaring a file in our code. The first one is external description. This option defines the structure of your file, indicating a file that is in your IBM. This is only used by the compiler to know where to get the structure of the file from. For example, we can do something like this. In this case, the file is named customers2, but you can put a different name here in your code. Okay, the customer will look for the structure looking for the file indicated here. Okay, you can make right here, for example, my file. The compiler will use this to look for the structure and the fields for the file. Okay, well, if you don't specify external description, then the compiler will look for the file my file in your library list. Also, you can make an override before compiling, but that is more complicated. Okay, well, let me put it again. Let me put customer and customer here. Okay, well, the second option that I want to talk about is external file. Well, this option is normally used with external description. This defines the actual file that is going to be used in the program. Normally, it is the same that you are declaring in the external descriptions. So you can do something like this, okay? Or clearly, you can write here the name of the file, okay? But it is easier to do something like this, okay? And it is the same. Well, I said before that this is normally the same, okay, but imagine that it is not the same. Okay, you can define it right in the library name of the actual file you are going to use. For example, imagine you have a structure that is the same for different files in your system, but your program is going to use one of them. Okay, for example, imagine we have a structure file that is this, but we are going to use in this program a different file that is custom 25. Okay, customers of that have been created in the year 2025, for example. Okay, well, in this case we have a file customer, okay, that is defined in the structure that I'm going to use, but the real file that I'm going to use is custom 25. Well, let me write here this. Well, other important option is for using files with members. You can declare with which member you are going to work with in your program. This is done using external member. Okay, and you can write here the name of the member. Okay, you can, for example, imagine in the example before we have customers of every year, okay, in different members. For example, imagine we want to work with the file that has a member 2025. Okay, well, this way could be an example. Okay, so this means that the program will use the file customer that has different members, and one of them is named 2025. So the program will try to use that member of the file. If that member doesn't exist, then the program will give an error. Okay, well, let me remove it. Well, of course, we can have keyed and non-keyed files in our system. If the file in our system is a keyed file, for example, this file customer that has a key for every customer, that is the ID, we can read it by key or not, or by position. You can decide. For reading it by key, you must use the keyed option this way. Keyed this way. Okay. If the file is non-keyed, then you should not use keyed in the declaration, okay? Because you can receive an error. Other important thing is that sometimes you will need to rename the records of the file. Imagine you create a file customer, like in this case. Well, in RPG, it is usual to create a file using a name for the record that is different than the name of the file. Normally, we add an R at the beginning of the record name. So in this way, we don't have problems compiling our objects without the need of renaming the records. Anyway, for example, imagine you are declaring two files that has the same record name. For example, a physical and a logical file. Then you should rename it, okay? Let me write here an example. Let me remove this. okay, and we can declare this file, that is the physical file, okay, and this one, L1, that is gonna be a logical file. Okay, in this case, customer has a name, a record name that is our customer. Okay, well, the logical file has the same record name, so we should rename it to our customer L1. So this way we can distinguish one from the other, okay, in our code. Well, the last option that I'm going to talk about is prefix. This option is very useful because we can add a prefix to the field names of a file. Imagine, in this case, for example, we have different files declared with field names that are identical. So we can use them in our program. You will have no problem. But to know which is which, we can add a prefix. For example, imagine that we have two files declared like this, and this, customer and product, because we have a files for the products of my company. Okay, well, in this case, for example, imagine that we have an ID for the customer and also we have an ID for every product. Okay, the name of the fields are the same. Well, we can then do something like this. Prefix, in this case we can add a C this way, and in this case in product we can do something like this. Okay, so in the program, imagine here in the middle of the program we will have C ID, that is gonna be the ID for the customer, and we will have a P ID, that is gonna be the ID for the product. Okay, so this is gonna be a good way to know which is which. Okay, well, in this video we have been talking about how to declare files in RPG using full free format on IBM I. We have covered a lot: how to use DCL-F, different usage options like input, update, delete, all, how to manually open files with USROPN, how to use external description, external file, and external member, how to declare keyed and non-keyed files, and how to rename record names or add prefixes to avoid conflicts and make your code clearer. These options are essential to master if you want to write clean, flexible, and maintainable RPG programs. I hope you liked the video and that it was useful to you. As always, remember to like and subscribe if you aren't already. See you on the next video. Thanks for watching.